Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Ryan and Daniel for a Monday edition of Propelio Live, the unnamed show other than Monday with Daniel.
Monday with Daniel.
Sweet. Today we are talking about what, sir?
Today we're going to be talking about the 5 lies as an entrepreneur that you may have learned growing up that you're going to need to probably start getting out of your memory banks because it will hinder your growth in this business. So we're going to be discussing 5, I guess we'll call them blue-collar thought processes that really need to be shifted to escalate and grow an entrepreneurial business.
So when you say blue-collar, is that just kind of like the working man? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, the middle class, the lower income people that, and this is nothing derogatory, it's just you need to make a mental shift. One of the biggest things in getting into a business is mental. I mean, if you can't get the mental figured out, it will hinder your business. And I've picked out 5 things that I personally struggled with that I had to transition in order to become who I became. And, you know, I'm still learning. I'm still from a daily basis like, well, that's not working, so.
Right. So before we get too far into it, please help us out with those likes wherever they are. The likes, the shares. Also, we're giving away our handy dandy new 99 Problems But Leads Ain't One t-shirt, Propelio.
So if you're watching live, got to drop some comments.
Yeah, if watching live, drop comments. And then if you're watching replay throughout the day on YouTube, later today, we'll do a comment picker there. So you have 2 chances to win a t-shirt, one on Facebook, one on YouTube, but please definitely help us up with those likes and those shares and drop us love in the comments.
I'm going to throw us off the rails for just a minute. I just saw an emoji pop up on our feed that I've never seen before. Somebody threw up like a rainbow unicorn looking thing. I don't know. There must be some new emojis out there. I'm excited. I just saw one I've never seen. Whoever just dropped that interesting emoji, do it again because I'm interested. I want to see how that works.
We'll get to real estate stuff later while we're fixated on unicorn emojis.
Hey, I told you, I'll get distracted. I have ADD bad, so I just, yep, see, there we go. So yeah, if you're interested in winning the shirt, drop some comments. We'll pick a comment out of all the comments to give a shirt away to, and I guess we'll get started on the show.
Sweet. 5 lies you tell yourself, or no, 5 lies you must forget to succeed.
Yes. And
cool.
These come from me. So these are the things that I struggled with, and I had to make the mental shift to start growing, and figured I'd share those with you. Number one, and that is fear of failure. Fear of failure. Many people, a lot of people that I get into conversations with that are starting out in this business, many people that I just talk to through Facebook and stuff like that, have this uncontrollable fear of the what ifs that just absolutely paralyze them. Like some people I've been working with recently, it's like, hey, this is what you need to do to get going. You need to start making some phone calls. You need to start prospecting. You need to start making this happen. You need to get in front of people and start talking to them. And immediately just shut down and would not do what was being expected of them because of the fear of, what if I don't know what to say? What if they're smarter than me? What if I look stupid? You're gonna have to fail your way forward in this business. It sounds cliche, fail forward, but if you spend your entire time sitting there like, well, I need to know this answer before I do something, You're never gonna do anything.
So would the lie be not necessarily fear of failure, but like the
lie is your failing is bad.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like going through the schools and everything else, we're taught that
pass, fail.
If you pass, you're good. If you fail, you're bad. That's the exact opposite in the entrepreneurial world. The people that tend to make it are the ones that fail the most.
I saw a thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's like one of the most famous scientists out there, and his commentary on the public school system was, in public school, it's either pass, you fail. But in science, you could be 99% right and have that 1% failure, and then ultimately it's a failure, but you learn so much in that process to be wrong.
That is the golden nugget. That lays into. I had a teacher. I went to an alternative school in 7th grade. It was Horizons. Miss Devney, I think, was her name, and she had a little plaque or whatever you want to call it on her desk, and it said something along the lines of the most successful people are the biggest failures. And in 7th grade, I wasn't in tune enough to understand what that meant or to really dig in and comprehend what was going on there, but it said something along the lines of the most successful people are the biggest failures. And I would extend that on into the entrepreneurial world, because most people see the entrepreneur that has succeeded and they're doing everything, and it just seems miraculous that these people have achieved that. But you didn't see the 2 to 3 decades of struggle beforehand of failed idea after failed idea after failed idea that finally panned its way into enough knowledge that they were able to succeed in their final venture.
Yeah, and there's so many people out here, Daniel's included, that'll tell you like his first flip, he didn't do it correctly, but he learned what he shouldn't do the next flip. And we've said this many times on the show about instead of spending $30,000, $50,000 on a guru, go buy yourself a house. I guarantee you're going to learn a lot more in that fear of, oh, I better work this out.
That is a great segue into like part 2 of number 1, and that is, I also see a lot of people that go out and think that they can just spend more money to gain the knowledge that they need to do this business. They'll get into a never-ending cycle of education where they're going into these guru seminar circuits and just buying and buying and buying and driving themselves to bankruptcy, thinking that they're going to finally get that last little piece of information that's going to set them apart from the rest of the group and help them excel in business. And that is just not going to happen. You can spend however much money you want to spend, but if you don't take the risk and go out there and start failing, which I think makes these two tie together, because the people that continually spend more money on the education, and I'm not saying you don't need education, you don't need mentorships, but the people that just get into that endless cycle of thinking they don't know enough, I need to buy more, but never take action on what they've already been taught because they're scared they don't know it all. You need to get comfortable with knowing that you don't know it all. You'll never know it all. You just need to start doing it.
Yeah, I said something the other day on a LinkedIn panel, and I wish I would have wrote it down because it was brilliant. And it was my quote, and it was basically the paraphrasing of, don't let not knowing what the hell you're doing hold you back from actually doing it.
It really does. It's
but
important.
the way I said it was way more elegant, and I'm like, no! That could have been an emoji.
I love you, Mr. Harper. So yeah, very much point number 1 is failure is your friend. Get used to it. You'll hear a lot of sayings like, an entrepreneur will bite off more than he can chew with the hopes of learning how to swallow it before it chokes him. You got to get used to getting way outside of your comfort zone.
And that's why if you've ever seen it or heard about the entrepreneur, I forgot what you got, like the graph of success. You go up, then you fail. You go up bigger, and then you fail bigger. You go up even bigger, and you fail even bigger. But eventually, you start going up and up and up. But those failures are always way more difficult than the last one before.
They hurt, but I mean, if you're not taking risks, calculated risks, and you're not putting yourself into a position where you can fail, your life's not going to change. If you're doing what you're already doing, you're not going to see any change. So you're going to need to get outside of that comfort zone. You're going to need to get out there and do things that you don't want to do. And if you get to a point where what you need to be doing is so far out of your comfort zone that there's no chance you're ever going to do it, then you have 2 choices at that point in time, and that'll bring us into point number 2, and that is, you're either going to have to give up and just say, you know what, the entrepreneurial life is not for me, or you're going to have to step up your game and understand part 2 of becoming an entrepreneur, and that is, you don't need to do everything. You don't need to do everything. You need to learn how to utilize other people's time. If there is something that is absolutely impossible for you to get over, whatever that might be, you're going to need to learn how to outsource that or find a way around it. Great entrepreneurs that I've met, this is common across them all, are the ones that are like over, under, or through. There's nothing going to stop me. I'll go through the door, I'll go under the door, around the door, bulldoze the door, set the damn thing on fire. Entrepreneurs that I have met that have truly met success are the ones that don't give up and don't let anything get in their way. Whenever I'm talking to somebody and all I'm hearing is one excuse after the other as to why they can't do what they need to do, that's when I'm starting to back off. It's just like, mentally, you have not made the shift yet to do this correctly, because you need to get all of that negativity out of your mind if you truly want to do what you got set forth in front of you.
And that being said, keep in mind that the entrepreneur life, the real estate life, isn't for everyone. And on Facebook, on social media, you do sometimes see like public shaming and bashing of the 9-to-5ers or the non-entrepreneur types. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? If everybody was an entrepreneur, you wouldn't have entrepreneurs because you just can't have that. So you still need your 9-to-5ers, and that's okay. If you don't have the ability to live in that constant fear of risk and failure and doubt and bankruptcy and,
it's a struggle.
And all that other BS that comes with just ultimate failure, then yeah, maybe stick in that 9-to-5 corporate job, and that's cool. So even if you are grinding it out in the entrepreneur life, don't take out your frustrations on, oh, look at those 9-to-5. There is no better. It just is what it is.
And
so,
if you do want to be in real estate and you just are not capable of handling that stress of all the 99 potential scenarios that could bankrupt you, maybe you should partner with somebody and or work for somebody else that's really doing it. So that way you get to enjoy your passion of real estate and not your passion of running a business, because despite real estate being real estate, it is still a business. You have to know how to run a business. Your business is just real estate related. So, some different thoughts there, but the key point is you need to utilize other people's time, learn how to outsource yourself. Otherwise, you'll never truly have a business. A lot of people getting into this have that mentality of, I'll do it all on my own, myself included. That means all of the marketing, all of the follow-up, all of the phone calls, all of the remodeling, general contracting, books, everything else in between. And a lot of people, myself included, are like, well, you know what? I like it done this way, and I don't trust anybody else to get it done for me.
On that, I'll say this. If you are doing any kind of direct mail campaign where you're actually doing the letters and you, the business owner, are licking your own envelopes, you need to step up your game, going back to this point, and outsource that. Get your niece, get the high school kids, get somebody and pay them $5, $10 an hour to lick your envelopes, because your time is way more valuable than doing something that menial.
That's a great way of expressing it. It's like, as an entrepreneur, you get to decide based upon your abilities what your hourly worth is. If you're out there flipping a house and you make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on that house and you break down your time involved with that, that's your hourly wage. And if your hourly wage is, let's say, $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour, which it should be. If you're a business owner and you're trying to escalate and grow to that next level, you need to set your hourly worth at something high enough that when you look at this and you say, all right, I can choose to lick stamps for the next 2 hours, or for the next 2 hours I continue building systems to teach somebody how to lick stamps, then you're never going to make that transition to actually making that $1,000 an hour. Because if you're spending 2 hours a day licking stamps, which is a very low cost wage that you could easily outsource to somebody else, then you are not working on the key things that are important to your business, like growing it. Licking stamps is a good way to get started in this business. It's a good way to get off the ground if you don't have the income. But the second that you have the ability to gain that income, you need to outsource every single piece of that business that does not directly make you $1,000 an hour. That's it. So,
and if you're not doing that, your time is better off spent with your family, or reading a book, or going fishing, or enjoying the sunset, whatever.
I didn't even write that down, but that's kind of a double-edged sword, and that is learning when to stop. There's at some point in time you're gonna get burnt out. You have to figure out where that line is and create. I can't use the word balance because I don't believe in that, but you need to find a way that you can pivot and allow yourself some time to recoup, because you'll end up just burnt out.
Number 3.
I don't want to just sit up here and just spout these off and run into them. I mean, if you're experiencing any of this kind of stuff, drop some comments below. Let me make sure I got this thing on.
Sonia from Arizona, she was like, she has her daughter who's 8 deal with all the envelopes. Perfect outsourcing. That's a perfect example.
So let's see here. I'm trying to get Facebook figured out here on this computer so I can see some comments myself.
Boom.
But sit down, and here's an exercise that you need to be doing, regardless if you're just now getting into this or if you've been in this for 10 years and you're trying to find the next level. Sit down and look at all of the activities of your business, all the way from the back office to the closing settlement statements to everything else in between, and itemize all of it. Figure out what all of the tasks are, And then as the business owner, not as the employee of a business, as the business owner, look at all of those tasks and start trying to group them together to tasks that maybe an employee can handle. Maybe you need a back office manager. Well, what can a back office manager do for me? Maybe they can answer phone calls, or maybe I've got an acquisition agent to handle my phone calls. All of my follow-up with my sellers, follow-up with my title company, transaction coordinators. Who's going to handle all of this? Who's going to handle making sure that the receipts are being allocated correctly on the books? Who's going to make sure that my books are being maintained? Who's going to make sure that my compliance is being maintained? All of my documents and paperwork are signed, that I've got everybody doing what they're supposed to be doing. That is not that is not your CEO level activity. You need to start putting all of those items down, grouping them into classifications, and then start working your hardest to find people to do that for you. And what's going to happen once you've done that is you're going to start realizing that all of that little time that you were spending trying to make sure that the transaction was getting to the closing table, trying to make sure that your KPIs were on track. Those are some things that you as a CEO need to watch, but you don't need to create. Have somebody else doing all that data and analytics for you. Look at it, analyze it, and to determine as the CEO which direction your business needs to go. But once you have done all of that, you're going to quickly find out, while you may have originally thought that nobody can do everything you do better than you, which is the case more often than not, there is nobody that can do everything you do better than you. But what you will find is once you start outsourcing people, there are people that can do part of what you were doing better than you'll ever be able to do it, because they only have one thing to focus on, and that is the tasks that you gave them. If you sit there and try and do all of that on your own, plus everything else on your own, plus everything else on your own, you're going to get spread thin, and you're not going to be doing it effectively. You might be able to do all of that better than anybody else, but once you start letting pieces of that go, you'll find that there's going to be people that do part of your job better than you ever could.
Yeah, and on that, every day you have a list of, man, I really need to get this shit done. And it's like boom, 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 boom. And ultimately, if you're on your own, you take the top 80% and knock that out, and the bottom 20%, and I'm just throwing numbers out there for shits and giggles, but that bottom portion, you're like, yeah, I probably did. It's all right, I don't need to do that after all. And then over time, you have a shit ton of stuff that never got done. Just this weekend, I was reminded that a year ago that we were going to do a documentary on the whole Nancy Carroll thing.
Yeah.
And it just fell off the books. It just fell off the priority list. And that would have been really cool to do.
We're getting probably a little late on that. Nancy Carroll's old news.
I know that's what I'm saying though, but it's something that at the time we're like, we would really like to do that, but this needs to be more. And then this needs, and then it just got weighed. It just got pushed down. But if you had a staff,
that is imperative to growth. Being able to utilize other people's times. There is a lot, I'm not going to say there's a lot, but there are plenty of people that succeed extensively without a huge team around them. You don't have to have a huge team around them, but you have to develop a business model that will allow you to scale with limited employment. I'm going to throw off a small side tangent here. I like watching documentaries. I was watching Netflix last night. And I'm really into criminal documentaries. And I forget the name of the show. It was like Drug Lord or something like that, where they pick a drug lord, Escobar's, your whoever it might end up being, and they document them. And there was a woman last night. Her name was Jamaica. And I don't remember her last name, but she ended up being the largest cocaine dealer in the United States in the early 80s. And it was a single woman operation for the most part. I mean, like, obviously she had a small few people that were in her network, but all she did is fly from city to city and make a contact. And then she had the original plug to get all of the cocaine, but she was distributing cocaine all across the United States pretty much as a solopreneur. I mean, she would make her introduction and she was just acting like the middle person, but in all actuality, she was the drug kingpin, just moving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilos of cocaine across the United States a week.
But if she would have had a team, she could have been the American Pablo.
I don't know. She made it for like 15 years without getting busted, and she was essentially a one-woman operation moving massive amounts of cocaine across the United States. It was like, you don't have to have hundreds and hundreds of employees to succeed. That's not what I'm trying to put off here. What I'm just trying to say is you need to figure out what your business model is and what your highest cost per dollar per hour is going to be, and then implement that. And if your highest cost per dollar is like $100,000 an hour and you only have to do one job, well then you're gonna make it. It's just with real estate, you're gonna need a team around you.
On that, remember kids, don't do drugs.
I got Helen sitting here saying, drug dealer best practices. I mean, there is a lot of similarities between the entrepreneurial world and
follow Quentin Flores out of San Antonio. I will say, going back to number one, Brandon Richards has an awesome hashtag. He put, hashtag cheat on fear. I was like, that's pretty cool.
That one word is another one that you got to bring it back to, and that is cheat. In school, we were taught that cheating is bad. Copying somebody is bad. That is, quite honestly, in the entrepreneurial world, probably one of the fastest way to propel yourself forward is look at what somebody else is doing successfully and then mimic their business model. Yeah. If you're seeing somebody doing X, Y, and Z and they're just killing it, well, then you know what? Maybe if you started doing X, Y, and Z, you'd kill it as well.
Yeah, I've talked about this before. Like, on the videos, you see somebody and they're having real success, and you're like, how? Their videos are what? And it's just like, well, they're doing something right. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay, they're using hashtags. They're calling people out. So, maybe I should start doing that too. And next, you do a little bit better.
So, all things to think about. Let's move on and look at another one. And that is, this is a good one, especially coming from a blue collar background. Growing up, we were poor. And that to be said, I was taught to save everything I possibly can. Saving is okay, that's great. But I was also taught that, once again, if I could do it, I needed to do it. So we didn't really learn to outsource stuff because, if the car broke down, we fixed it. If the plumbing got backed up at the house, we fixed it. If the roof needed repairs, we fixed it. We did it all ourselves because that's how we had to do to survive. We didn't have the money to outsource. So as you start growing up in business, you start trying to take on that same mentality of if there's a problem, I'll fix it. You need to learn to outsource that. But there's another one that rolls into that as well, and that is growing up poor. We look at what stuff costs. Mm-hmm. We're always looking at, well, that's too expensive. That costs this much. It's not so much, what do I get from buying that? What is the return for it? Like if something costs me $1,000, but it makes me $5,000, it's a no-brainer. It's not so much what the cost is, it's what's the return. So it's a mental shift as a business owner from getting away from the cost mentality of everything. Like if I'm looking in this business, you might be able to see some of this from here. I'm looking at like this plan and it's going to cost me, $200,000, $500,000, $1 million to knock it out. Do I have that right now? Hell no, I don't. But I know that that's what I need to make this work. How do I find it? Instead of looking at that costs too much, I can't afford it. It's like, that's going to be a great opportunity for my business to grow. How do I get that money? Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at what things cost, look at what the benefit of having that will do to your business and then go out and find the money. You don't need the money, you just need to find it.
Goes back to that reverse engineering. Mm-hmm. Find out what it is that you want to accomplish, and then what is it steps to get there. And then once you get to that step of, it's going to cost $1,000. I want $5,000. I need to do this investment of $1,000 to get there. I don't have anything. Okay, how do I get that $1,000? And then if you go from the back end, if you look at it that way, it
should at least motivate you.
Yeah, if you look at it that way, well, shit, $4,000 in that scenario, that's a lot more than $1,000.
So if you don't got the $1,000, maybe I can, hey Brian, man, I've got this great idea. This is what I've got going on. If I get $1,000 into this, I can make $5,000. Would you be willing to loan me the $1,000 and I can give you back $2,000?
Right.
Or would you be willing to partner up on me with this and we can knock this out together? Don't let the cost of something determine whether or not you move forward with it. There's plenty of times where I'm looking at something and I was like, there's no way in hell I can afford that. But if I get that done, that's going to completely and totally change the trajectory of my life. And therefore, I go out and find the money. Mm-hmm. And you need to have that mental shift in your head of like, well, this marketing is going to cost me $20,000 to get done, but with that $20,000 worth of marketing, I should at least make 50 grand. Now, how do I find out where to get that 20 grand from?
And then one thing you got to realize, it's not always money. It's also opportunity. Because if I can do this thing over here and I can at least make the same amount of money back, but it opens up a ton of doors and opportunity, that's also a no-brainer.
Opening up relationships and partnerships is critical to this business. Getting started, this is probably one of my biggest faults, getting started, is I looked at everybody else around is competition. You know, if you were out trying to flip houses and I was out trying to flip houses, you were my competition. And although there is a small nugget of truth to that, it is a diminishing return thought process. Grant Kemp said something whenever we first started doing the academy up here, and I thought it was extremely brilliant the way he said it. And he basically said, me and you considering each other competition is like two fleas arguing on the back of a St. Bernard who the dog belongs to. Obviously, there's plenty out there for all of us. There's millions and millions of houses, millions of strategies, personality types. Me and you may be going after the exact same property, but you have a totally different demeanor and mindset and personality that I do, and you might click with them and I might not. So there's plenty of room for us to both grow in this business without considering each other competition. And once I finally got past that, considering Ryan as my competition, I started learning that that was an opportunity to collaborate.
On that, you know, I'll throw in a side lie of that. And one of that is like, oh, there's so much competition. There's so much. There's a tremendous, especially in DFW, there's a tremendous amount of investors in this space. There's a tremendous amount of new investors getting in the space. That being said, you know, we live in the social media, we go to the events, and we see thousands of other competitive people that we're in competition with. But what's the reality? How many millions of homes and opportunities do we have in the Metroplex area? How many of those homes every single year are coming up for a situation where they need to be sold?
I think a good thought process behind that is, even with foreclosures being competitive, how many still go to auction every single month? There's still hundreds and hundreds and thousands of properties every single month going to the auction. So despite how competitive foreclosure might be, there's that much missed opportunity every single month of properties that could have been done that investors just never got to.
Yeah, so that's going to be your bonus lie is there's too much competition.
So yeah.
I think that's a good lie to tell yourself, or that's a lie that you need to get over yourself of, oh, there's too much competition, there's too many people. Well, if that were the case, there wouldn't be so many houses still going to auction.
And I still see to this day new people coming into this business and just killing it. And it's because they get over those fears of it's too competitive. If that goes into the fear of failure, I think. You think that there's so many people out there that you're not going to be able to compete, so you don't even try.
Right.
Well, it's the people that actually get out there day in and day out, from the time they get up till the time they go to bed, and have it in their mind that there's nobody going to beat them, and they actually start going out there and doing the things that they've been taught that succeed. I mean, Jamie Burleson-Woolley, she's been doing this, I guess, about 2 years, and she's probably somewhere between the 200 property mark already. So if she thought 2 years ago that the competition was too stiff and that there's no way she could get into this business, she wouldn't be where she's at right now, which is, from the outside looking in, doing pretty damn well.
And then going back to number 2 or whatever the number was about building teams, perfect example, she was able to build a team and just knock it out of the park.
The people that I see in this business that succeed the fastest are the ones that establish a team quickly, set up systems to manage that team, and then hold that team accountable. The ones that I have seen absolutely dominate in this business are the ones that were able to effectively do that quickly, and that is where they got to scale. And then once you get to scale, you get all of the benefits that come with that, which becomes the benefit of doing the entrepreneurial world. If you're out there doing it on your own, you're pretty much a solopreneur. You're not getting that full entrepreneurial experience. You're not getting that relief, that sense of accomplishment of being able to live a life again, because getting a business started is a nut punch.
You were ready to shout out to some people that are watching?
Sure.
I do have a question from Sonia, and we could both answer it in our own ways. She was asking how to get over that negative mindset. If you do have a negative mindset, what do you do?
Oh, man.
I know what I do. You want me to say what I do,
Yeah.
why you think about it? Like, if I ever have negative thoughts or whatever, I just work more. If I get stressed out, I work more. If I have chaos in my personal life with a female person, I just work. I just stay longer at the office, and it's probably not the most healthy thing, but it works for me in my life. So that's what I do. I just work. You know, some people react differently. Some people will go meditate, go to yoga, go work out. I wish I would work out when I stress, but for me, I just nose the grindstone and just do more output for the work life.
I think I used to be in that boat where, whenever things weren't going right, work was my solace. Is that I don't know. Work was my meditation. It was quiet time where I could just but now I've got a daughter, I've got a wife, and work can't be my opportunity to relax. So right now, most of where I get my reset from is hanging out with my daughter and my wife. But whenever it comes to those mental problems that are really just causing me problems, I medicate.
Self-medicate.
We'll just leave it
Remember,
at that.
kids. Anyway,
I'm just trying to be real with people. I'm not trying to lie. It's just, it is what it is.
We're coming live out of Denver, Colorado, y'all. Anyway, but just real quick, Fennell, Lacey, Elizabeth, Angelica, Kevin, Jeff, Sean, Burke. I haven't seen you on the live in a long time,
I've
man.
seen you around, man. I haven't seen you in a couple months.
I know. Thanks for coming back, man. Brandon, thanks for coming in. Sonia, thank you so much for all the support. Miranda, hello.
And don't forget, hey, we got everybody here.
Oh yeah,
We're giving away the shirts today.
Keep those comments coming.
So if you want one of these shirts, we've got these given away today. And if you would like one, drop some comments below. Drop 500 comments and you'll have 500 chances to win. I know Sonia's been wanting one, so drop some comments below for a chance to win that one.
Jason Witherspoon, haven't seen you in a while. Corey, I hope you're gaining weight in our weight loss challenge. Well, both Corys actually. More Helen, I see you again. More and more. I love the comments.
I got a comment here from Matt Smith that says, I have a fear of hiring people. I'm to the point I can't grow without creating a team. Any advice on taking imperfect action? I love this, and I was absolutely fearful of hiring somebody when I first got started. When I first got started, I'd knock out a wholesale and make 30 grand. And then I'd put all of that 30 grand back into marketing, and then 3 months later I was back to zero with the hopes of more money coming back in. That 30 grand would just be put right back out into marketing. And I'd hit waves of liquidity where there'd be times I'd have 100 grand in the bank, there'd be times I'd have negative $100 in the bank, and it was stressful. The reason I was hitting those points of boom and bust is because I would drop a bunch of marketing to create leads. Leads would start coming in, I'd manage those leads. I'd go on appointments, I'd get contracts, I'd manage the contracts, I'd get them to the closing table, and I'd close on the deal, and then I'd do my marketing again. So I was hitting my marketing in waves because I do the marketing, and there wasn't enough of me to handle the phone calls, there wasn't enough of me to go out and do the appointment, there wasn't enough of me to manage the closing process, there wasn't enough of me to handle the rehab. So I'd do the marketing to get a deal. The deal would pay me out really well, and then I'd go out and do more marketing again. If I had originally just bit the bullet up front and said, you know what, I'm gonna hire an office manager for $15 an hour, and they're gonna be responsible for handling all my marketing, now what is happening regardless of what I do? Marketing. Marketing is happening day in and day out.
This is the first time I've heard this, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing, and no disrespect,
It
but
is.
you got to, day one, if you're going to be any kind of bandit sign, direct mail, phone call, whatever marketing you're doing, consistency. You got to, if you're going to do it once a week, once a month, whatever, you got to be consistent with it and not.
That leans into having a team.
Well, yeah, but you have to be consistent with that, and don't expect a return anytime soon. It's got to be at least a 3-month venture, and that goes back to the fear of all this of, oh shit, I just spent 10 grand this month, nothing's coming. Oh shit, I just spent 20 grand. There's
So
a lot of fear, but consistency, you got to.
So for those that saw my speech at the last DFW meetup, which is going to be again here on the 13th, we're going to have 14th. We're going to have Will Crozier on. For those that don't know Will Crozier, he started out pretty much from the bottom, and he's now done over $300 million in apartment flips. He has his own import-export company where he brings his own material in. He is a massive wealth of knowledge and extremely good. It's going to be an open Q&A for him. So if you want to learn from him, come to the next meetup, and he'll pretty much be on stage. If you got questions for this man that has made himself a multi-millionaire 10 times over, then this would be a great opportunity for you. But the last time at the REI when I was speaking, I said, I am a failure. And a lot of people may have not understood that. This rolls back into that. I failed to build a team. And right now what I can say for you, Matt, is if you're telling me right now you have realized you have hit a point where you can no longer grow without a team, some of the things that I did to make it easier for me, I always get freaked out about all of the paperwork behind having an employee. There was a software that I found that made that super simple for me, Gusto, Gusto. They handle all of my compliance, all of my reporting to the state of Texas. They handled pretty much all of my HR stuff around employment, and that made my life so much easier. I didn't want to have to wear the HR hat as well. So Gusto.com allowed me to hire an employee very simply. I used some of the employment contracts from previous employers that I'd worked for. I just basically took those, modified it for me, and that made the hiring process a lot easier because I didn't have to worry about state income tax, Social Security, unemployment. I didn't have to worry about all that. They took care of that for me. And then I took on the same thought process that I had for hiring VAs, and that was interview a bunch at once, take the 2 or 3 that I think have the highest probability of succeeding, and then hiring them on as contractors for a few weeks to see which one performed the best, and then hire the last one at the end of the day.
Yeah, the biggest thing you need to remember, and just to summarize all that, is hire fast, fire fast.
Hire slow, fire fast.
Well, I like to hire fast.
I like to hire slow and fire fast because you hire the wrong person, it can greatly interrupt your ability.
It'll cause some chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring a crazy into your office space.
And it can cause massive problems.
Yeah,
hire slow, fire fast. If you take the time to really pinpoint all of the activities within your business that you need to outsource, then you will find the right person for that job. Part of finding the right person for that job is, if you've never heard of it, and this is all still directed to you, Matt, if this is helping at all, is I use another system called the DISC test, the DISC test. You can just
Tony
Google
Robbins.
Tony Robbins. I use the Tony Robbins DISC test, and I look at all of these activities that I've written down, all of the stuff that I've already spoken about earlier on, where I itemize every piece of the business that needs to be done, and then I start grouping them up into personality types. Like, I can't expect an introvert that's really into numbers and statistics and compliance. I can't expect that person to go out and door knock for me.
Right.
That's probably not going to be a good fit for them. But if I take all of the items that are really good for that left-brained, analytical, hyper-regulatory type of person, and I give them all of my back office paperwork and all of the analytics behind my marketing, then guess what? They're probably going to love it. Well, how do I know who that person is? I get all of my applicants up front to file a DISC test, and it's going to show me what their strengths are, what their personality tends to be. Obviously, a test is not going to answer everything you need, but it'll give you a good indication of what type of personality this person has. And then if I put that person into a job that best mimics their personality, you are going to find that they're going to succeed and enjoy their job.
Yeah.
If I try to get that same person to go out and start cold calling people, it's going to go downhill quick.
Yeah, like if somebody's like, clearly they love to talk, and on their, and I know there's another test that I'm aware of that you have the talkers. I'm not sure where it lies in the DISC test, but if somebody's like a real hardcore talker, they're not going to be good in the back of the warehouse by themselves. Maybe outside sales, maybe something where there's a lot of networking. That might be something more suitable. But and again, there's always gray areas. There's always exceptions to the rules. But the DISC test is a good place to start.
Don't take the easy way out either. I've done that quite a bit, where I have a friend that I know is looking for a job. Boom, you're hired. That's easy. It's like, okay, boom, you're hired. No, I almost to a point, unless you just know this person from within the industry and you know they're a rock star, don't hire friends and family. Take the time to interview at least 20 to 30 people before you ever pull the trigger. And then once you've done that, I know it's hard, and I screw up on this myself. Take the time to interview enough people that you can see the qualities that you're liking, the qualities you're not liking. Then after you've interviewed X number of people, you're going to start realizing, oh shit, that one's the type of person that I need. Mm-hmm. And then boom, go from there. And then once you have done that, that person is not really an expense. That person is an asset. You need to train that person, spend the time to train them, expect your income to go down for a little bit. Don't let that freak you out. You might have to hit the brakes and your income might drop for a short period of time. But once you have that person trained on everything that they need to be doing, invested your time into that person, treat them well, keep them around, and what you're going to quickly see is you're doing this and you stalled because you couldn't go any further. You're going to have to take a small dip down because you're now spending all of your time getting this person prepared to launch you up to the next level. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're going to hit the next level, hire on another person, next level, next level, next level. A good wholesaling team can be knocked out with 4 to 5 people. 4 to 5 people, acquisitions, dispositions, back office management, marketing, and just basically the head of the team. So, boom, that was a long question there.
Natalie Williams, I think she wins best comment of the day.
Uh-oh, I missed it.
She wrote 99 problems, but commenting ain't one. and then earlier, she did have a comment earlier about how Daniel or Chad, I still haven't figured out which one he wants to go by, but I'll just call him Daniel. Yes, he is really, really good at raising money. But yeah, that I would say that's one of his best attributes as an investor.
And I put on here, and that'll be a good segue into the next one, and that is you need money. You personally need money. You've always been told you need money to make money. That is an absolute false statement. Get it out of your head. Wipe it clean. You can call me a dumbass all you want to, but I will tell you right now, money is not the issue. For whatever reason, I have been blessed with the ability to find money. I wasn't raised around money, but for whatever reason, I can instill confidence in people that I will perform on their money. I have historically done a good job at that, and since that is the case, finding money is easier for me. But if you're just now getting started with this and you're like, oh, I don't have the money to do this, I don't have the money to do that, hit the brakes quick. Hit the brakes quick, because money is going to light this business on fire. It is what is going to take you to the next level. But don't let that be the thought process that stops you from going. There are systems out there that will allow you to build capital without having any money. You're going to need some experience. You're going to need some knowledge to get that going. But you knock out a wholesale deal, make 5 grand, make 10 grand, make 15, knock out another one. Now you've got 20 grand sitting in the bank. Maybe you can do a flip now. Well, you get that flip done with your own money. Now you've got experience, you've got knowledge, you've got the ability, and this rolls back into a statement we made earlier, and that was, Ryan is not my competition. Everybody that I meet at that REI is not necessarily my competition. We may compete from time to time, but overall these are resources for knowledge and time and everything else. When I started going to REIs, talking about what I was doing, the things that I was moving forward towards, I started having people that I would have never anticipated having the funds that they have walk up to me and just, regular old board shorts and a t-shirt. It's like, hey, can I go to lunch with you sometime? Next thing I know, I'm at lunch and I find out that this guy's got, $25 million. Now that I know he's got $25 million, he's like, I was just inspired by some of the things you were saying, the action you were taking, and I like to place my money with go-getters. What could you do if I gave you 200 grand right now? What could you do if I gave you $500,000 right now? What could I do if I guaranteed you access to a 9-figure bank account? Boom, thought process start changing. You're like, well, instead of trying to wholesale all day long, which is what I was doing, kind of starting out towards the middle. I went backwards. I rehabbed first, then started wholesaling. I was like, well, if I had access to several $1 million right now, I wouldn't even try to wholesale right now. Wholesaling is, for some people, great. For my personality type, and wholesaling is not my passion. I really enjoy fixing up old houses. That's where I really enjoy it. Some people hate fixing up old houses. They love wholesaling. So whenever I got offered that kind of capital, my first thought process was, I'm going to eliminate wholesaling. Because the only reason I'm wholesaling right now is because I'm trying to find these deals. But if I've got a capital partner that'll back me on this, I can start doing more volume and less worry about margins. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I started rambling. You're just like looking at me. What the hell was I talking about?
On top of that, it all comes back to having an excuse of not doing business. You were talking about not having money and needing money in this business. I will also do a side thing on that. Is we have a friend of Propelio and a young buck that comes in. He comes to our masterminds, comes to our events, watches the live. A guy named Jalen. He's in high school. He starts school next week, and his like, well, I'm just, I'm waiting until I'm 18. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, I'm not 18. I'm not legal yet. I'm like, I guarantee you find a deal, you can JV with somebody who can legally sign that contract for you, and if they're reputable, they're not going to screw you over. Or hell, get your mom to sign on the contract. But don't let age hold you back. At the end of the day, any excuse you have, it's going to hold you back. But I guarantee you, any excuse you have, there's somebody else that has a strong enough rebuttal to say you're full of shit.
You may have reasons why you're not moving forward, but don't let those reasons be your excuse. Let those reasons be part of your plan. I hate doing X, Y, and Z. Write it down, figure out how to outsource it. Don't let that I hate doing X, Y, and Z be the reason you never get started. Let that be your goal to get outsourced as soon as possible. Bite down, overcome the problem, partner with somebody that's not a problem for, make it happen, move forward. I've got a question here from DeMarcus saying, I'm a new investor. Can someone help me scale out the basic? I'm not directly following the question. If you want to elaborate on that some, I might be able to come into that. Do you have a thought process on what he's trying to get out of that right there?
I'm not sure if we have already covered that, but if DeMarcus, if we haven't answered that, yeah. Please expound on that.
So I've got another one here from LaQuisha. If I said your name right, hope so. My fear being new is getting a good lead, then screwing it up, not having steady resources to go out to with questions and for help. We are opening up the Propelio Academy on October 1st. Attached to that will be a form, so if you have questions like, hey, I've got this, I got that, feel free to engage in the Propelio forums. I will be giving advice there. I got a lot of really good heavy hitters that are part of this now, so they'll be giving advice as well. But some things for you to be working towards to get over that fear of getting a good lead and screwing it up. I'm going to give you some advice that was given to me when I got started. I was fearful of taking the phone calls. I was fearful of talking to people. I was fearful of sounding like a dumbass on the phone. And whenever I start getting my anxiety up, I start to hyperventilate, and I just didn't want to freak out on the phone. A way for you to get around this that was taught to me is go out and start calling FSBOs on Craigslist, or go to FSBO.com, find 100 FSBOs and call 100 FSBOs a day. And this is going to sound daunting at first. It's going to sound like, oh my, I can't do this. And it's going to feel that way. The first 10 will probably have you just like ready to throw up because your stomach's in knots. But call the first 10 and ask them the general questions that you would need to be asking a motivated seller. What is the condition of the house? What kind of upgrades do need to be done? When are you looking to sell by? You know, is there opportunities if I gave you equity over time and payments versus cash versus X, Y, and Z? Start thinking about all these questions, and then when you're on the phone with this FSBO, start going through your script as though you were on the phone with one of your hot marketing leads. And no matter what you do, do not get off of that phone call. No matter what you do, do not get off of that phone call until you have made an offer that is at least half of what they were asking for. I know absolutely for a fact that it's highly unlikely that they're going to accept this. You're probably going to get cussed at, hung up on, but you're going to start getting used to this happening. You're going to start getting used to making this low offer. You're going to start getting used to handling the objections. You're going to start getting used to what they're saying to you. And the more and more comfortable you get with that, by calling 100 of these a day for the next 2 weeks, you're going to finally realize that, hey, I screwed up when I said that. Hey, you know, if you record these, it's even better so you can turn back around and analyze what's going on. But you start doing that, you're going to start becoming comfortable with what you're saying, what you need to say, and how to overcome whenever these conversations break down. And then whenever you do have a hot lead that you paid for to market on, it's not going to overcome you. It's not going to make you shy away into a corner. It's going to allow you to stand up and perform when you need to perform.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, use every opportunity as a learning experience, whether that be a phone call, whether that be a marketing piece, when you're driving for dollars, when you're going on an appointment, when you're doing a new contract. You should never stop learning. You know, I've said it many, many, many times here on the shows here. If, the minute you think you know everything about real estate investing, find the closest mirror and slap the shit out of yourself. Because you should always use those opportunities to learn. And that's not just for real estate. Hell, with these videos, every single time we go live, every single time we do a video, we strive to make it better than the last. So if you watch some of the older videos from a year ago,
God, our quality has came up so much.
What's that?
It's came up so much.
What's that?
From our
the
quality.
quality. Yeah. So, but my point there is not to rah pound the back us. It's just use every single opportunity of whatever you're doing as a way to learn and do better for the next call, the next appointment, the next marketing, et cetera, et cetera.
So I've got a comment here from Natalie Williams. I think you are in a very good position on this side. She says, I got the D and the I on the disc test. I read that wrong starting out as well. I believe wholeheartedly that somebody that is high D, high I is an excellent acquisitions manager. The I gives you the ability to communicate and talk to people, and the D gives you the ability to make a decision without regretting it. You can just like look at a situation, make a decision, hold up to it, account for it, and do that. That is a great combination for an acquisitions manager. I personally am like extremely high D. I score like a 99 on my adaptive personality and a 95 on my natural personality. So my ability to make a decision and own it is 100% there. Everything else though on my adaptive personality is in the teens. My ability to communicate with people plummets. So if I'm out trying to handle acquisitions, the D side of my personality allows me to just charge through and do it. But the super low I, S, and C, I have to overcome significantly, because to communicate with people is very hard for me, especially in an adaptive personality. I'm getting much better at this because now this is starting to become more natural for me. But if you saw me live a year and a half ago, I was just a clamoring, just absolute nut job. You though, Natalie, with that D and the I think you should be wholeheartedly acquisitions, and then find somebody else for the background that has the S and the C, the systems and the consistency, and allow them to handle the back office. You pair up with a really strong S and C, and you'll just dominate with this if you're not already. So I love that you have already taken the DISC test. I'm a high D, you're a high D, and you're a high I, if I remember correct.
I don't know what I is.
Oh, you took the Homevestors test, which is essentially
one.
The same thing, but your communication and
Is all,
decision, all red.
My red is like doer.
Like this guy is go, just boom. Just
my personality, you have to be careful with. If you have someone like me on your team, you have to be careful about saying what you need done. Because if you're saying, hey, I need X, Y, and Z done, and then if you pause for a minute to start advising on how you want that done, I've already gone through the wall. So if like you want the wall gone, I've already gone through it, and you're like, wait a minute. So you got to be careful, like with somebody that is a high doer.
But yeah, you are like a beast, man. Like just what he said. Like there's been times where it's like, I think this would be a good idea, and like 10 minutes later, he's like, all right, done. And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. And it's just so you learn what your personality is, play on those strengths, and then outsource all of your weaknesses. Yeah. Do not force yourself into a situation where you are solely reliable for all of your weaknesses. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a situation where you don't scale to grow.
Right. Perfect example, just because I think it's funny, is the whole reason we do the Facebook Lives is literally, I think it was my first day with Daniel here at Propelio. And he was like, yeah, I think eventually, try to next week or so, maybe 2 weeks, research how we go Facebook Live. We were having Joe Boston in that day, and I'm like, we got 2 hours, but I'll figure it out. So, and he's like, and he just got nervous as shit because, the anxiety kicked in. But we went live, and that was before anybody was watching, and we didn't know there was a lag, and then we got a little bit more free in our conversations, and Miranda, Daniel's wife, was like, you are still live, shut up. So we took that video down and then uploaded the edited version.
That was crazy.
Anyway.
So Brian, I got a question here. It says, what position would you hire for first marketing, sales, or cold callers? I have my personal input on that. I think that if you're looking for outside sales, cold callers, and or closers, you really need to cut out your how do you say that, your training time, and hire a successful used car salesman. I believe that used car salesmen are a really good fit for acquisitions. Despite what you might think about used car salesmen, they know how to close. A successful one knows how to close, knows how to handle objections, and knows how to push forward to get the paperwork signed. All things critical to your inbound sales. All of your cold calling, door knocking, acquisitions, all of that. If you can looking to outsource and employ somebody for that, I would limit not all of my applicants, but I would try to find somebody that already has a proven sales background, so that way I don't have to teach them negotiations, I don't have to teach them how to close. I might be able to tweak what they're doing, But overall, I can take somebody that's already a closer and put them out there, because despite how good somebody's able to talk, if we can talk and talk all day long, that's great to have. But if they can't close, it's a useless thing to have. They might talk all day long and never get the paperwork. I'd much rather have somebody that can say 2 words, get the paperwork, and walk out. So figure out who you're hiring there.
Jeremy Miller had a great comment. He's like, I needed this stream today. I am overwhelmed. Thank you, guys. And the reason I wanted to highlight that is it's always really cool to see that kind of response from people in the comment section. Like when we do a video on the most random thing, I've done a couple videos where it's like on, consistency, or on how everybody's full of shit, and then when people are like, man, I really needed to hear that today. Hell, when I did the consistency one, even someone like Bryce, who's Bryce McKinley, who's highly successful in this business, even him saying, hey, I needed to hear that this day, that's really cool. So at any time, if we speak to you, that sounds douchey. If you like what you're seeing up here, let us know, because that really gives us motivation to keep going. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like we do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we love getting the emojis. We love getting the responses. We wouldn't be giving away all the books and all the shirts.
Comment if you want one.
If we didn't really like that I guess that affirmation. I don't know. Is that the word I'm looking for?
It does feel a little weird standing up here, because despite you see us looking this direction, other than a bunch of cameras here in a black room, we don't know what's going on out there.
There's Travion. Don't forget Travion.
Travion's hiding behind the switchboard. Like we're going to put a camera on Travion.
Just so we can see it, like right there, put a monitor.
We're going to put a camera over there. But for those of you out there watching right now, the only way we know if you're enjoying this, the only way we know if you're participating in this, is if you participate by giving us emojis or comments, because literally we're just staring out into nothing right now. So it really does help when y'all give us the feedback. So I got another one here from Laura. Have you had success with one office manager handling more than one task role as you're growing, such as cold calling, intake, and taking care of closing processes? I'm going to say the person that can handle multiple different things that span across multiple different personality types are unicorns. You can find them on occasion, but if you truly want that person to perform, you might be able to get them to do it for a period of time, but eventually they're gonna get burnt out. So yes, you can have a closing office manager that handles multiple different things, with the anticipation of finding somebody to replace the things that they are not the best at as soon as possible, and or giving them an assistant to back them up on, potentially even a virtual assistant. Like, I like having somebody in office at all times to handle the day-to-day activity stuff, but if I see that they're struggling with and or doing low dollar value activity, get a virtual assistant out of the Philippines. I like working with the people in the Philippines. Their English is traditionally fairly good. And then let that person handle the low dollar activity, so that way your office manager is not constantly being drained down doing repetitive, easy work that could be easily outsourced. Let your office manager manage the things that they do best. Outsource the rest of it off to somebody else. So in this situation, Laura, yes, you can find somebody to do all of these different things. I don't think they'll do it for long successfully. And if they do, make sure that you back them up with like a virtual assistant to handle all of the petty, repetitive stuff, and that'll allow you to scale a little bit faster. Don't exclude VAs from your from your realm of possibilities. All right, now I think I've got 6 full-time VAs. They are incredible to work with and great opportunity to scale.
This is not funny, but I think it's funny. It's like, on that note, on your VAs, it's like, they're great, but if there's ever a hurricane,
yeah,
you're screwed.
It's happened from time to time. The electric grid in the Philippines isn't, top notch.
It's because it's all one family. They're all in one location. It's not like, anyway, I just think that's
I have
ridiculous.
My VA team is a team of 6 brothers and sisters. There's a total of 13 brothers and sisters. At one point in time, I had 8 of them full-time, but right now I've got 6 full-time, and they're all just brothers and sisters. One sister manages all of them, and it makes my life easier. So.
What number we were on the? I think we were on 3 or 4, weren't we?
I think we moved through to it on the "you need the money," and then we got sidetracked from there.
Yeah. So the last one was talking about you need money.
You don't need money. This goes back to a short stream that we put out, a few months back. You need 3 things to complete a deal. 3 things are necessary to successfully knock down a deal. That is going to be, you're going to need time. Someone is going to need to put in the time to make this deal happen. Part 2, knowledge. You're going to have the knowledge of what to do. You don't have to have it going in, but you're going to have to scramble to get it figured out as you're moving forward. You need knowledge. The last thing you're going to need is the money. 3 things: time, knowledge, money. I personally don't believe you need to have all 3. You just need to have at least one of those 3 so you bring value to the deal. Mm-hmm. If I have at least one of those 3 things, I can find a Mr. Harper, a Travion Young. I can find somebody else within my network that has one of those other 2 items and then pair together and knock this deal down. Getting started, you're going to need to bring time and you're going to need to bring knowledge to the table. If you bring those 2 to the table and you're able to source a deal, money will follow you. Money will follow you all day long. Let's back that off. Let's say you have a lot of knowledge and not a lot of time. How many people out there watching right now have time but are lacking the knowledge? If you've got the knowledge and you don't have the time, pair up with somebody that has more time than knowledge and create a little bit of a team there. You have those 2 put together, you'll find the money. If you have the money and you don't have the time, but you have the knowledge, you just got to figure out where this puzzle plays in and start partnering with people.
Yeah, ultimately, you need all 3. You could be that the solopreneur that does all 3. You could be one person with, you can have 2 people that one brings time, one brings knowledge and money, or it could be 3 different partners. But you need to have all 3 aspects to it.
Very good there.
But what was after the money thing though?
So the 5 things that I was talking about is fear of failure.
Right.
So many newbies get out there and feel like they're in a constant loop of needing to learn more before they take action and fall into a situation where they never take action because they have this fear of not knowing enough. You need to know just enough to take action, and you're going to learn 10 times more taking action than you ever will paying some seminar guru circuit. You need to take action. If you don't, there's no chance of winning. There's 0 chance of winning. You immediately become a failure because you've never taken the action. So that was number 1. Number 2 is despite how this might look coming into it, this is a network-based business. This is not although it is a competitive business, your competitors are not your competition. They are your resources for partnerships, for leads, for deal types, and for overall knowledge. It's surprisingly a very open network. We tend to help each other out a lot. Like almost everybody on here could consider me their competitor. I could consider them my competitor, but I'm sure there are at least a few dozen people watching right now that would openly agree, I'm free with my knowledge. If somebody asks me, how do you get something done? I'm not like, hey, screw you, you're my competition. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm like, hey, talk to this person, do this, do that. The deal will go forward for you. Is there an opportunity in the future for me to partner with this person? Yes, but we are not competition. We are in the same business, and we are an opportunity to learn and work with each other. I see a lot of people right now that are on this live stream that I know personally I have attempted to help in some form or fashion. And all of that to be said, we are not here to compete with each other, we're here to help with each other. Mm-hmm. And then moving on from there, another one that we have is that mindset of nobody can do it better than me. You have this mindset that nobody can do it better than me. You rely all of it on yourself. And what you're going to fail to realize is maybe starting out when your volume is small or your task list is minimal, maybe no one can do all of these tasks better than you. But as you start trying to grow, you're going to quickly realize that you're dropping the ball. You're dropping the ball here and there because your focus can only take care of so much at a time, and you're going to start letting things fall to the side because you only have so much time. You're gonna need to learn that although nobody might be able to do all of it as good as you, there's going to be plenty of people that can do parts and pieces of it far better than you ever could. You're gonna need to learn to use other people's time and money. And then one of the last ones that I was looking at was cost versus return. Starting out with that blue collar mindset, that middle class, lower class mindset, you're gonna need to make that mental shift, which was a hard one for me to make, and that is stop looking at what stuff costs. Who cares if it's $1 million if it makes you $2 million? Who cares if it costs you $100,000 if it makes you $200,000? Stop worrying about the cost. Worry about the result. And if you look at the result and you like what the result is, figure out how to come up with the money to buy it. So that is one of the things that I've been very successful with. That is one of the things that have allowed me to become who I've become, is because I was able to look at my end, figure out what I needed to get there, and then fortunately enough, I built a strong enough network of people around me that I could reach out to and say, I need the money to make this happen. And since I was out there doing things instead of just trying to learn things, I was actually out there doing it. People saw what I was doing, saw that I was willing to take the risk, and then with that risk, I was able to provide a return. And that's where I started getting capital partners to back me. Right now, I am millions and millions of dollars in debt because I have a vision that other people believe in and are allowing me to move forward with that vision based upon my passion. You need to get out there and make shit happen. That's really.
Thank you for the recap, the summary. If you have comments, if you have more questions, we're obviously getting towards the end of this, but we want to keep it going for as long as we can. Josh on the YouTube, he's out of Tennessee. What do you consider low dollar activities? From the YouTubes.
Low dollar activities I would consider to be pretty much anything that you could pay somebody else to do and afford to do that. And if you can't afford to do that, you need to work towards afford doing that. Right now, getting started, like let's just say you're a solopreneur and you're just now getting started and you have zero money, then all of the activity is gonna need to be you. But once you've initially knocked out that first little piece of money, set some of that aside for a virtual assistant. Let's say that's $3 an hour, $4 an hour, $5 an hour. If you knock out a $5,000 wholesale fee, that $3 an hour to $4 an hour is probably around 6 to 7 months worth of virtual assistant labor. Then have that person start doing some of your marketing, because you are not a real estate investor. You are a marketer first, a real estate investor second, and as you start growing, you become a businessman first, a marketer second, and a real estate investor third. As you get that VA to do all prospecting that you possibly can, so that way your marketing funnel stays full. Get them to be building lead lists. Get them to start scraping Craigslist for FSBOs. Get them to start, building lists so that way you have an opportunity to market. That's low dollar activities, $3 to $4 an hour, and you can get them to do it. So that way every morning when you wake up, you have a new list of potential people to market to. Start marketing to them. Once you've done that, now you're starting to turn a little bit more volume because your marketing is consistent. As you start turning more volume, use the income coming in, not to pay off your credit cards, not to pay off all of it. Use that money to continue building your team. That's part two. Now that you've got your virtual assistant, you're going to need somebody to handle the thing that is the least consistent in your business. Maybe you're damn good at acquisitions, stay in acquisitions. Maybe you're damn good at running the back office, then you need to figure out what the next part is, but you're gonna need somebody to either run your back office or to run your acquisitions. Figure out which one you're the best at, continue doing it, and then hire somebody else that does the other piece of it, which is going to be, for me, the back office. I suck at paperwork, I suck at consistently doing that type of stuff. Hire somebody for your back office, keep doing your acquisitions. You start continuing building up your lead flow, then hire in acquisitions, then you turn into the puppet master and just make sure that everything's continuously moving forward. If not, rebuild the systems, hold people accountable, move forward.
And then once you can be the puppet master, that's when you start traveling and you're in Vegas and you're in Florida, you're on the beach, and then you can get on Instagram and just show off all your toys and all your funness while everybody else is having to swing hammers and work.
That's your end goal.
Yeah.
It's systems. It is understanding that there is power in your knowledge. I have forever. I don't know directly how to say this, and it's not trying to come across as arrogant or anything like that, but I never placed any value in my ability to learn and my ability to just be smart. I don't know what the hell you call that, but I've always been ashamed of being smart. I've always hidden being smart, but smart is an extreme attribute to have, and I never looked at it as an asset because for me, it was just there. I never respected it. I never had any value for it, and you need to be able to respect your ability to manage and grow a team. It is an asset that you have. So moving forward from there.
So we'll give the stream about, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds more, and
Let's
a bit
give
more.
away the shirt.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
All
to
right.
get more comments in.
All right.
I'm trying to hit 200. We're at about 175 comments. You know, I don't know, maybe if we hit 200, we do shirts or shirts.
Let's give away, if we can get to 200 comments, let's give away 2 shirts.
All right. If we get 200 look at there, Trey. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that.
Oh,
look at that.
Katie
So,
Apperson.
Katie Apperson, thank you.
Somebody tag Katie.
Yes, so
tag
Katie
Katie.
was the first person to receive one of our shirts. She came by here the other day, and you know, she modeled our shirts for us, so thank you. But if you want one of these today, it is 99 problems, but leads ain't one. See, there
And
you
you
go.
can buy one for $9.97 with your educational whatever guru thing.
So let's get to 200 comments, and when we get to 200 comments, we'll give away a second shirt. Let's go ahead and give away shirt number 1 right now. If you don't know how to get access to winning one of these shirts, drop comments below, and we use a random comment picker to decide who the winner is. So you can have multiple entries. If you put 500 comments below, you have 500 chances to win this t-shirt. And
Jeremy?
I want everybody to win a shirt. Oh,
So-
do we already have a winner?
Yeah, Jeremy Miller, you win the first shirt. So if
Jeremy Miller.
you can drop me a DM with your
Shirt size.
phone number, your address, and your shirt size, I will get that off to you, sir. So Jeremy,
So let's see if I got some other questions popping up whenever that comes through.
Shirt.
Time, knowledge, and money all day long, Jeremy. Jeremy is an extremely smart person. He's very analytical. He's got that engineer mind. Jeremy, you need to be putting that engineer mind towards systems. Let that engineer mind create the systems to allow you to scale, allow you some relief, because if you continue doing it all, brother, you're gonna burn out and give up. It's just, you're gonna start dropping balls, and it's not gonna feel good, man.
So, oh, we got to 205.
All right, 205.
Sweet.
Oh, shit.
What?
Brandon said, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without Daniel and the Propelio team. That means a massive ton. I've got mad respect for you, man. You are definitely one of the people that I've seen go out there with limited knowledge and absolute determination and just crush it. And that is a great example of somebody that you don't need to know it all. You just need to know enough to get going. And then once you get going, you're gonna learn. Reach out to all of these people that you might currently see as competition. And I'd be willing to bet almost all of these people are gonna pay it forward. They know what it was like to start out in the beginning without knowing what to do, and then just roll out there and crush it. So Brandon, man, mad, just love seeing what you're doing out there and just crushing it. I love seeing all of y'all out there doing this.
Cool. Well, let's do one more and let's get out of here.
All right.
And then again, jump in the YouTube later just for fun. Boom, start.
All right, so we got another shirt going out, and who is it gonna be today? Oh, well, Jeremy, according to Facebook, you've won twice, so we're gonna give a second. We're gonna do this.
He
one
didn't
again.
get 2 shirts.
Let's see if we can get another one here.
That happened to us the other day where it's like Propelio.
Who's gonna win this one?
Brandon Richards.
That
Just
seems,
talking about him.
That seems like that was fake, but Brandon, let's give away one more. Come on. Brandon Richards, Jeremy Miller, you both got one.
All right.
This is our first day giving away shirts, so we're shirt happy today. Brandon Richards, if you're currently still watching, drop us a DM. We need to know what shirt size you want, your address, and
Correction, send Ryan a DM.
or send Ryan, yeah. What else do we got here? Come on, we got another winner. Cheryl King
Baron. Sweet.
You now have a shirt coming your way. So send Ryan a DM with your size and your address, and we'll send you a shirt your way. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We do have the DFW REI meetup coming up on the 14th. We will have Will Crozier as the main presenter for the night. And once again, for those of you that do not know him, in the past 7 years, he went from essentially starting out way down at the bottom to going to multi-millionaire, 8 figures over, flipped over $300 million worth of apartment complexes. He's done, I believe, 10 syndications. And this guy has absolutely dominated it out there in real estate. So if you want to pick the brain, this is not a sales class. There's not somebody going to be up there saying, hey man, buy my class at the end of this. This is just straight knowledge, straight content. If you want to be a part of that, come to the DFW meetup on the 14th and open questions.
Yeah, and we're going to start, we try not to blast too much. We try to promote like the 2 weeks before. We try not to go to our stuff. So yeah, starting tomorrow, you're going to get spammed the hell out of all of our stuff. So everybody in Dallas-Fort Worth, August 14th, we've got our event. Next Monday, August 6th, we have our mastermind. We're going to be at found a new venue in Irving. That'll host the mastermind for
the
us.
mastermind, okay.
Yeah. No, just for the mastermind.
Okay.
It's a little one of those co-working spaces. Like, yeah, you can host it here. So that way, because of that, I can actually talk about it more, because our biggest fear there is not having enough space here in the studio. So, now we can actually fit 30, 50, 100 people, whatever, and we'll make it work. That's a no sales, no agenda, just talk shop. San Antonio, we will be back in San Antonio on August 20th at the Carver Community Culture Center, and we're really excited about that. So make sure you sign up for those events. Make sure you watch Wednesday for Grant Teach Something for another chance to win some t-shirts. And anything else? Any parting thoughts?
We've got Renee asking if there's any updates on the Houston meetup.
Which Renee?
Renee Daniel. Renee Daniel asking if there's any updates on the Houston meetup.
I had a venue, and then there was communication here. I'm working on it.
And then I guess before we roll out of this, give us an opportunity to just say, hey, this is brought to you by Propelio.com. For those of you that are watching and have not visited Propelio.com yet, please go out there and take a look at it. Propelio.com offers you real estate investor websites, lead lists in certain markets, as well as access to MLS comps and discounted properties in certain markets. If you want to know what markets we have, go to Propelio.com. Over the next year, we are hiring somebody specifically to get us more markets to move into, and we are hiring more developers and everything else to provide more value to you as a community. And the Academy, which we have been talking about for almost a year now, is scheduled for October 1st release. The Academy right now is looking at almost 300 pages of absolute mind-blowing content getting ready to be released. By the time the Academy's done, it's probably going to be closer to 1,500 to 2,000 pages deep of just absolute actionable real estate investing education, and it will be brought to you for free, brought to you by Propelio.com. So,
excellent.
Thank you.
All with the visionary visions of Daniel Chad Moore.
Well, thank you for that. It's been a team effort by all means.
Same team.
My weakness is follow-up. All day long, my biggest weakness has always been follow-up, but with the right team and the right people around, I don't think there's anything that Propelio.com cannot accomplish. For those of you that are supporting us, for those of you that are still out there watching, for those of you that have given us the support to grow to who we are today, our goal is to provide you with more and more and more power, so that way you can grow to become who you've always wanted to be. And thank you for being a part of that with us.
Yeah, and Megan on YouTube, San Antonio, we have a meetup on August 20th. I just dropped a link in the live chat, and I'll also...
So San Antonio on the 20th?
San Antonio on the 20th in
Carver
August,
Cultural Community Center?
That is correct.
So San Antonio folk will be down there at the end of this month.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you Wednesday for an episode of Grant Teach Something. That's it for today. If you liked it, share it, love it, whatever. We'll see you next Monday with Mr. Moore.
Have a good one.